This is a touching story that involves what exactly is the extent of the right of a parent over a minor who has not been able to or who is not able to take a decision by itself or by him or herself, depending on whether the sex is disclosed or not. It's a touching story, happened in 1997. The take is the case of Tega Ezabono and another against Dr. Tunde Fawaya and four others. What happened was that in a hospital at Chevron Lekki, a child was born. It was born to a Jehovah's Witness parent. And we famously know that the members of that doctrine or sect, or anyhow you perceive them, they are famously against blood transfusion. And I say famously because it's not something that's a secret. The child was just given birth to, the child needed blood transfusion, otherwise the child will die. And we know that Jehovah's Witnesses are famous for choosing for the child to die rather than allow for a blood transfusion. So they made a choice that they wanted the child to be without blood transfusion. The hospital was irritated. They didn't subscribe to that line of thinking. To that end, they approached the Nigerian police force. The Nigerian police force went to court. A magistrate gave an order pursuant to the extant laws in Lagos State, and pursuant to that order, the hospital was able to give the child the life-saving blood transfusion. After the blood transfusion, successful one, the child became alive and the child was given back to the parents. The parents were angry, despite the fact that they are holding on to the child that is alive. They sued Dr. Tunde Fawaya. They also sued the Nigerian police. They sued the magistrate that gave the order. They sued the hospital. And the case went from High Court to Court of Appeal. And the Supreme Court had to now decide on who was right and wrong. The Supreme Court made it succinct and said that yes, adults can decide for themselves. Adults can also decide for minors. But when it comes to matters that a minor has the power to actually change his mind, especially in a matter like this, that Dr. Tunde Fawaya isn't guilty and the other persons who made the decision to save a life, they are not guilty. That the saving of the life was much more important than the right to freedom of religion that was exercised or is being exercised by the parents of that child. God willing, if that child is still alive, this is 2024, that child is probably 27, somewhere across the world now, maybe in Nigeria, maybe in another place. So sometimes these are the difficult situations or difficult questions that are presented before courts, and sometimes parties feel they are the ones that are right, and they can attach a lot of zeal to it. Till now, on this case, different persons are still on the two divides that are created. Are parents of a minor that powerful in the life and decision making of the minor? To what extent? Who is right? Is Dr. Tunde right? Or is Tega one of the parents of the child, right? Depends on which side of the religious divide you find yourself and how zealous you find yourself following your own religion. So that's my take on this story. It's one of the most touching stories I've ever come across from my year 2 in the study of law at the University of Lagos. My name is Justice. This is a touching story. I work for Eco Solicitors and Advocates